What up, everybody? It's DJ Rusticles, master of all bass. Got another update with the Jeep. By the way, I still don't have a build name for this. I've had a few people give me ideas and whatnot, but I'm waiting to figure out exactly what would work best for this build. I'm sure it's going to come with time. But anyways, amps. Oh yeah, look at that. Fucking the sax. So I actually took these out, all 12 of them, actually 3 times to be exact, within the last week or so, to clean up the paint job on the brackets after doing all the test fitting. And then also finding different ways to running this wire between these amps here because it's tight between them. And what I really came up with is, since the speaker wires are a little too short, I still kept them up the middle between the two, but the RCAs are going between the amps, meaning in between the spacing for, can't get proper angle here, for cooling. So you can, that's pretty fucking shitty, but you get the idea. See how it goes between them? So instead of coming up the middle between the speaker wire here, eating up more space to, make it more difficult to getting to the filters and gains and whatnot, I cleaned that up. Clean the speaker wiring. It's easy to probe, clamp, do that all between all of them, and they're all independent. So you can find them. Everything is just a lot better laid out. And then I also got a couple, let's see here, fans way down there to cool these off on a separate circuit. So 4 switches, they're all on relays. So the switch is a positive trigger switch to switch over the relay to take the power from these batteries and turn on accessories like amplifiers, mid-amps, DSP, head unit, voltmeter, fans, so on and so forth. So everything's done properly. Everything is working. Everything is gain matched. I filter matched and gain matched all these on rail voltage. So currently they are matched rail voltage. You got 100 volts out of these clean. I got up to 118 volts dirty on rail. So for quote 4,000 watt amp, rail that much is easily a 7,000 watt amp. So got 12 of them. It's pretty impressive. So what I'll do is, once I have the subwoofers in and actually have a reactance, because I actually have coil, at like, it would say 40 hertz, I'm going to come back here and VA power everything, meaning, clamp for amperage and still probe for voltage between each amp to make sure the voltage and amperage are in aligned with the pressure being generated in the enclosure, and then fine-tune the gain setting, filter setting, just a little bit more to get that dialed in, because they're always just a smidge off, especially with how big the enclosure is, how long it is, the little bit of phasing and all that. So loading issues, which is, fairly well balanced, but it is still a deep enclosure. But next update, kind of cold in here, I haven't turned on the heater today, is I decided up here underneath the hood I haven't done it yet, but we have this 370 XP DC alternator up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this AC unit. I said, fuck it, whatever. Last Jeep didn't have an AC either, didn't care. I'd like to keep it. It functions, it works. Still got a heater core and all that still works, but fuck it. I'm going to pull this out here in the next week or two, drain the lines, take out the pump, build a little bracket because the bolt pattern is very close, and then put in the second alternator. And I also ran 2 more charge cables, or I should say power and ground, 2 watt OFC from Sky High for that power. So we have 2 positive, 2 negative, 2 watt running front to back, 1 for each alternator. All you need, so here's the thing is, all you need to run front to back for your system is how many alternators you have. So if you have like a big 400 amp alternator, either 2 1-aught wires per or 1 2-aught, so per, and that you want power and ground, same size, same length, front to back. It's DC, it comes back, you can clamp your ground, will have the same amount of amperage coming back as you do going forward. So if you have, let's say, 400 amps, you need at least a 2-aught running front to back if it's under 20 feet. If you have 4 or 5 alternators, you need a lot of cabling because you need to return that power from the source where the alternator is to ground. So that's how that shit works. Most people are like, oh, I run a 1 cable for all these alternators and I got a couple grounds to the frame or unibody, whatever, seat belts, whatever, to back. No. That ground has to come back to the source. So if you make 400 amps from an alternator, it needs to come back to the alternator where it's grounded, where the source of the power came from, DC. Most people don't seem to understand that. So you want to ground as close as you can to the engine block or the engine block on the engine block close to the alternator or the back part of the chassis of the case of the alternator for that to properly be grounded. So that's how that works. So that'll be done very, very soon for the second alternator. I know people are giving me shit. You only have one alternator. What the hell? I'm like, wait for it. So otherwise, next update, door panels are done. Are you ready? Let's come down with you. Oh, hot damn, diggity dog. 2 8-inch Neopro V3s per door. And then there's 2 3.5-inch stereo integrity speakers up here. And then 2 C3 1-inch soft dome tweeters in those fabric grills. And these are magnetic, both on both doors. Stack fab built. Let's see here. Bang. So they are working, they are playing. DSP 810 processor, 3 JP, JP 84s per. So, and then later on, the A-pillars will get done with the same speakers down here on these. I'll do either 2 or 3, probably 2 3.5-inch drivers up here and then a single soft dome tweeter per pillar. And that'll really give it a good fill. But it plays. It's baseline tune currently. What I mean by baseline tune is nothing for like actual RTA, flattening signal, doing all that. It's just simple, quick time alignment, crossover points, slight EQ, just the very basics to get it playing and get it going before I, have some friends bring, Drew Jones is going to bring his 5 mic array to Slam. Him and I are going to redial this in better with that. So, otherwise, we have, I suppose I could turn on some speakers here. Let's see. Yep, about to have some sound here. DJ Rustical shit. Secondhand buzz and the way that won't leave us. They say be careful what you say. Hot shit, goddamn, used to be a bad man, run the house, saying words and that shit, and then I got it on my phone. If I got caught, I would do it on my phone. YouTube's gonna be like, what the fuck, so. That's barely up. That's fucking maybe half volume. These things fucking scream in here. My ears ring. So, I'm not going to just play that any louder than that currently. Fuck that noise. I was doing some of that Friday night, and my ears, I should say, are kind of still fucky from it. Because being in a 700 square foot garage, that shit fucking rings. But, you get the idea. They look amazing. All wood. Fucking super strong. These top panels here, this is the original. So anything below, like I told you in previous videos, anything below this line here clearly is aftermarket, but finished to match. So what is left from factory is this top part here. This has about 40 to 50 pounds of deadener on the backside of these panels, these plastics. So they're beefy as fuck. And then clearly, you can tell that this is quite thick of wood, super strong. And then there's at least 100 plus pounds of Vibraflex poured into the doors, and then 16-pound pour foam as well in the doors. Pardon me. And then we also have some sound shield mat on top of all that structure. This stuff, So this has butyl, a foil layer, and then on top of it is foam padding, closed foam for high frequencies, dampening, eating up some of that rear wave so you don't get a whole bunch of shit sound from these speakers. That covers the inside of that as well. And then on top of that, the door metal on the outside is also sealed off from the inner part of the door. These things are fucking heavy. Watch this. What you hear rattle is this fucking thing, this plastic. If I could keep that from not rattling, you wouldn't hear any fucking, it would just be dunk, dunk, dunk. So, you get the point. It's pretty much ready to go in the sense of I need to still buy a trailer to tow this thing around when I'm not driving it in central Minnesota or anywhere in Minnesota. Like I said, 17-year-old vehicle. It's going to weigh like almost 10,000 pounds. It's reliable. I did a lot to it to make sure it was mechanically sound, but still, I don't want to be left out of state with this heavy-ass vehicle. So, out of state things, I'll still trailer it. I still need to get a vinyl wrap done for this vehicle. And then obviously, the only thing we're really waiting for is the Sundown Audio SDDN 15s to show up. We don't know exactly when they'll be here, but we're assuming hopefully by the end of the month of April. So we'll see. Otherwise, this thing is ready to rock and roll. I'm excited. Yeah, I think that's it for now. And then any comments, question, whatever, put them in the comment section. I might reply to them.